Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Anon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Mike.
Hello.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Yes.
And Gal is here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nick is volunteering down again.
Goofing off.
No, he's not goofing off. He's volunteering down in Wilmington to clean up the beach.
He's building
It's
his
nice.
political bona fides.
It doesn't matter what. I mean, cleaning up the beach. That's what's important.
Yeah, cleaning out the trash in more ways than one.
Yeah. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by Vimix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. And it was kind of a slow week in a way.
I went on computer strike.
On a what? On a computer?
Did you win your demands?
Yeah, about halfway. I got about half of what I wanted. That's pretty good. I have not been on the computer for any long periods of time since Wednesday.
Was getting that lamp one of your demands?
Which lamp? This
The
one right
one
here?
that- Yeah.
That's been here a long while, but that's
Oh, okay. Still has the wrapper on the shade.
I know I might decide to take it back.
Hmm.
Headed
Is it
back.
is it a Kia?
No, I don't remember where I got it. I think probably Lowe's. It probably on sale because I wouldn't pay much for a piece of junk intentionally.
So what else?
It was hot.
Still
It
hot.
was, wasn't it? Sheesh.
Yeah. And it worked outside, which was like nuts.
Yeah. Kind of ridiculous to a point.
I shipped off that older laptop that I upgraded to Windows 10, and my friend very happy with it because it was Vista and it was really slow and it didn't work very well. And Windows 10, wow, it just gave it new life, which is it just seems like it would be a.
So what other hurdles did you have to jump over when you did that?
Well, I didn't have any trouble with most of the drivers. There were a few that didn't appear on the HP site that I just went out and I looked at the hardware ID and I found out what it was and I found a driver and it worked. And most of them, though, video driver, the only thing I had to go look for was the chipset driver. A weird thing that didn't work right away was the controller for the SD card reader. Had to go to their site, but
That's
it
very
was there.
normal. That's
Yeah.
normal.
It's because it's a weird niche type product.
What
So-
brand computer is it? HP?
HP. And but I found everything and right out of the chute, everything that needed to work worked. So there were no issues. Found the sound driver, found the video driver, USB drivers, all that stuff, network drivers, wireless drivers, all worked from just out of the and with Windows 10, I know they really cut back on what they have in the operating system as far as drive, and that was for two reasons. One was to make people upgrade, and 2 was to just make Windows 10 less loaded. But, it was good, and I went to what was it? I'm not sure if I went to, I guess it was SD key STD key that I went and got a combo license of Windows 10 Home and Office 2016.
I need to get a license for Office 2016.
And this was good. It was $32 or
How can that be
$37
legal?
for the combo.
How can that be legal?
Well, I actually read about it, and it had information to say there about there was a lawsuit about people who would unbundle and buy these surplus licenses because to get the deals that the computer companies get, they have to buy a minimum number of licenses, and if they're not used, they were selling them on the out there as aftermarket, and I think Microsoft sued them and lost. They said, "You can't do that. You can't." So it's not. They're selling it. It was purchased. It was not stolen. You're just selling the license, and hey, and it's not really. Uh, I don't think it's really that used that much, but it worked. I had no problem. Went and did sometimes they say on the webpage if they recommend that you do the voice response line to uh, register or to authenticate. Didn't have to. It just came up and ran.
And what's the website?
Uh,
Put it in the chat.
STD key,
Oh,
and there's another one too, Kingun or something like that. There's another in there. STD key. What they do is they are just a front end for people who are selling the licenses. So you look at that and you click through them, and they give you sites to download. If one thing you could run into is if you're looking for the latest version of Windows to download, you have to have a Microsoft ID to go download it from the site. And so there are alternate sites that they can send you to that have mirrors of this. They're not Microsoft mirrors, but you can go and download it from those sites. And those I'd be a little concerned about. But
stdkey.com server IP address could not be found.
is that the right name, Aaron? Amon?
SCD.
SCD, not STD.
Yeah, STD is a disease.
Yes, yeah, that's right. I actually have it written right here. I just read it wrong.
Yeah, SCD key. And really, I mean, when you go to SCD key, there's no way to easily find like they used to. I mean, there is a menu item called PC, but you don't see it's like it's all for games now. I don't know how you got to it. I mean, I purchased from them a key a couple of years ago, so I had the direct link to my 'cause
Yeah, that tells me that it's not legitimate.
it's
I
not
think,
what?
like I said, they're just a clearinghouse for people that
Yeah, I
sell the
know.
licenses.
I know.
But it's not you. There's stuff out. You go to eBay, and there's licenses for $6,
But
$8.
you don't know what those are, Stan.
No, that's yeah, they tell I mean, if you read about reviews, the ones that are selling on eBay for that much are actually pirated. These are
Yeah.
not
So
really pirated. They are leftovers from companies that had to sell
Supposedly.
1,000,000 and they sold only
Yeah,
half a
yeah,
million.
yeah. Everybody's got a story.
Well,
wait,
um,
there's somebody at my door now, and it looks like a guy in a Microsoft shirt.
Yeah. Has he got a gun?
No, he's got a taser.
Push the button,
Mm.
the evaporate button.
but talking about Windows 10 in the 1803 or whatever, there's a problem that we should all know about. Consumer tech reporter Gordon Kelly describes an important new Windows 10 warning and the failure behind it for all 800 million of Microsoft Windows 10 users. What Microsoft confirms it did was quietly switch off registry backups in Windows 10 8 months ago, despite giving users the impression this crucial safeguarding system was still working. As GHAC spotted at the time, registry backups would show the operation completed successfully despite no backup files being created. Microsoft has now spelled out what was actually happening. Starting in Windows 10 1803, Windows no longer automatically backs up the system registry to the regback folder. If you browse to the Windows System 32 config regback folder in Windows Explorer, you will still see each registry hive, but each file is 0 kbyte in size. So why has Microsoft done this? In the company's own word, to help reduce the overall disk footprint size of Windows. And how big is the registry backup? About 50 to 100 megabytes.
Give me a
Big
break.
deal.
It was probably something they screwed up on and didn't
I
want
don't
to
know.
admit.
It said the article notes that this issue was flagged in Microsoft Feedback Hub last October, but only now is the company coming clean about what happened. The GHAC's block points out that the registry backup option has been disabled, but not removed, according to Microsoft.
Well, couldn't you configure the
Well,
backup
yeah.
to hold
Now,
a certain number of backups?
it
Hang on a
says
second.
that administrators who would like to restore the functionality may do so by changing the value of a registry key. I didn't want to get into how to do it in here because the reg edit is not for the everybody to use. But if you just Google on registry backup uh, repair, registry backup reinstatement, you will see it's not a big deal. You just have to change a 0 to a 1. But you need to be aware of it, that this is not being happening. It's not happening automatically anymore, even though they say it is. Or even though if you go and you do it manually, it says that it did it. It did not do it.
All right, but to be fair, you can still do a system restore.
Oh, that's what they're talking about. I mean, I read some more about the article, some more articles about it, and they said that what Microsoft is trying to create is a situation where people will create more restore points to restore Windows instead of relying on the registry. So you
And
would have.
that's supposed to save disk space?
I know. The point here is, look, we're talking about a couple of, 100 megabytes. I mean, with today's disk spaces,
Well,
that's a drop in the bucket.
I was gonna mention how there's a trend. Every week when I do the specials now, there are more and more laptops shipping with solid state drives.
Oh yeah, you should never
And
buy one of those.
they're not giving you the 1 terabyte drive. They're
It,
giving you a 256.
it doesn't matter. So what is
Well, it
100
depends.
meg? Sorry, what?
Well, it depends. I'll tell you about one we bought a couple of weeks ago.
But the average ones that are out there in the weekly ads start out with the smallest drive. So you're not able to configure these. You're not going to the manufacturer's website and building the machine. So they come with. I haven't seen any ones that come with pre-configured with solid state drives have anything over 500.
Well, it depends on where you look. If you go to Best Buy, you can find them with larger drives.
You can, but they're they're not typical.
No, I mean most people don't want it. I mean, how many of your customers have 100 gigs stored on their hard drive, including Windows? A
True.
lot.
I have several. I just upgraded one customer from their old machines to the new machines, and they had 500 gig drives standard on these 5-year-old laptops, and they were nowhere near being full.
Right. And that's even sometimes without a server.
They mainly use Dropbox because of the way they had to share files,
Right.
so they didn't have them.
So anyway,
individually.
my daughter had a 2012 HP 17-inch big behemoth computer, She's been on maternity leave. She's going back to work, so she needs a decent computer for her work. She went to look around. We went to Costco first, then we went to Sam's Club. The one in Garner is a dump for computers. Don't waste your time. We went to BJ's. That was a waste of time. Then we left and went to Best Buy. This was over 2 days. At Best Buy, they really did have a good selection, but most of all, they had a sales dweeb who knew what he was talking about, which is a major surprise. We go through and look at these computers. The first thing I tell her is no HP. I've had nothing but horror stories with some of my HP computers. Not all of them. Some of them have been good, but even one of them, the latch on it, I had about 4 of them. The nice computers when they came out, but the latch on them, when the latch gets worn out, you have to disassemble the entire motherboard, take it out, everything to get to the latch to bend it back in place.
Mm.
Just a real pain in the rear end. But as we're over there looking, she had made up her mind that she wanted a 17-inch because she wants to be able to see and what she's doing and have enough room to work on multiple documents. She also had to have a separate keypad on the keyboard, both of which are readily available. But as we're looking, she starts picking these things up. Oh, the other thing is she's saying, I think I want to get a touch screen because now we're used to it with phones and so forth. It's now a real thing. As we start looking around, my natural tendency is toward Lenovo. I will tell you that the Lenovo non-business laptops don't impress me at all. The business laptops are amazing. The non-business laptops are no better than anybody else's junk. But we're looking around, we find that the 17-inch computers, none of them had a touch screen. They were very heavy. Then we looked at the 15-inch computers. She was having trouble getting used to the idea of a 15-inch screen because she was used to a 17-inch screen. But we kept coming back to this one computer, has a 512 SSD, 8 gig of memory, and I think it was upgradable to 16. I'm not sure. Windows 10, I don't remember if it was Pro or Home. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. But we looked at it, touch screen, 15-inch, 900 bucks, and that's the one that she ultimately bought. It was an HP. It was without a doubt, in my opinion, the best choice of all the computers they had in stock. We looked at all of them, except we didn't look at Apple, of course. They probably have 128 gig hard drives on them. And so anyway, she's had it now for a couple of weeks, and she absolutely loves it. Does everything she needs, except that whenever I was over there a few days ago and opened Word for the first time, it says you have 5 days to test Word. So somehow it had been activated previously. Somebody may be playing with it or something. I don't know, but I need to get a key for Office for her computer. I'm not sure where to go with. I didn't see them offering any kind of special deal if you buy it now or if you buy it from us, but
SCD key,
can't
16
find it.
bucks.
Can't
I'll
find it.
I'll send you a link.
Okay. All
Go
right,
ahead.
and also then I'm gonna check with them, see if they've got a special deal. If they've got a special deal on it, then I'll buy it from them. That's fine. I wanna make sure it's a legal key. But I gotta tell you, this HP computer it was very impressive. It's the weight versus functionality of it, great. The screen is clear. It has both a micro SD and a standard SD card slots on it, which I think is very useful now. I mean, I kept adding these and then taking them off and adding them and taking them off. It does not have a DVD drive on it, which is fine for portability. I mean, who uses those anymore except us geeks? What else did it have? HDMI ports. I mean, everything. It just seemed to be a good value. So if somebody asked me right now, I want to go buy a computer, what should I get? I'd probably tell them to go spend 900 bucks on this particular model at Best Buy, unless you can find it somewhere cheaper.
Gal, what did you get shy? You got a laptop,
Yeah,
not
I actually got him a 17-inch, but it didn't have a touchscreen. But it is very, very light,
What
surprisingly
brand?
light.
What brand?
LG. It's called an
Yep, that's the
LG
other one we
brand.
were looking at. That's
Yeah,
exactly the other one we were looking at because of the weight.
yeah. It feels like an empty shell when you pick it up. It's really light. It's
I
surprisingly.
will be interested to see how well that works for because I don't know anything about LG computers. My guess is They're made in the same sweatshops by Foxconn that the Apples and the Lenovo's and the HPs are all made in. I imagine they're all in the same place.
Yeah, I don't have any prior experience, but yeah.
I don't know anyone who does have any prior experience. That's kind of my point. I've had 0 feedback on an LG laptop.
Yeah, I don't think they're really out there yet, but as with you, I am not going to touch HP just
Yeah,
because of very bad experience. Not with their I can't say it was always bad experience with the hardware itself. It's usually bad experience with the company.
for sure.
So I'd rather not have that experience again.
But
I'm
you don't
okay
know,
with
to be
test.
fair. Yeah, but to
Yeah,
be fair, you don't know that your experience with LG is gonna
no,
be better.
no, but I'm open to a new experience, and
Sure.
at least I'll know after that. But
Absolutely. At least you will have tried. I get
yeah,
that.
exactly.
I
I hope
And
they
I
think
can
turn out
tell you,
I
and
hope
I
they
can
turn
tell
out
you
to
that
be a player.
I hope so too. And I can tell you that the how terrible the experience is it's universal. It was the same in Israel. So
I think LG will be much better because LG is a consumer oriented company.
yeah, it
So
could
they
be.
are more
Look up something on their refrigerators. Their people are ready to sue them over some of their refrigerators,
Hmm.
because of a bad company experience.
And Amnon, didn't you have a weird experience with your dryer, LG dryer?
Yeah, don't I remember something about that?
no, we have Samsung.
Oh, Samsung. I
Yep,
thought it was
it was
LG.
Samsung. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Mike, the Office 2016 Pro Plus is $40.75
Where?
on SCD key. If you go to the just type in the search line Office at the top. There's a
I
little
did.
search bar, and it will come up with all the Office offerings.
It
I
didn't.
thought it was 16. Maybe that was for
You need to disable Origin in order for the search to follow.
Disable what?
You block Origin. You're using you block Origin
No,
or an ad blocker.
no, not on this one. This is Vivaldi.
Well,
And they have this is where I got that bundle, which was Windows 10 Home, OEM plus Office 2016, and that was 34.91, and that installed with no problem.
Is
It's
this a
not.
download thing or they send you the key or what?
Yeah, well, you can. They recommend that you go to Microsoft and download it there with using your Microsoft ID,
Right.
and that's fine. But they do have an alternate site that said if should you want to use it, they do give you a mirror. Somebody has a mirror site set up.
I mean,
But
I've got the DVDs for Office,
yeah, so if you have
20
it, yeah,
nice.
that's all. It's going to run through the.
not necessarily. The DVD might be a retail or an
retail. That's
OEM,
correct.
and the license might not match.
Well, these are OEM licenses, so chances are it will if it's they're all like bundled OEM. So
Yeah, I haven't had any problem with it. I'm just out of licenses.
they also have if home and student works, if she doesn't need, depending on what she needs, does she need publisher, does she need other stuff? It's they've got
The main
home.
thing I wanted to have is Outlook, which doesn't come with Home and Office.
Yeah, yeah. The 2016 comes with Outlook, definitely.
There's home and business. Does that
Yeah,
include
home and
Outlook?
business. I don't know. I'm clicking on it
Home
now.
and Business does not come with Office.
Outlook.
Office, the Outlook. Jeez, got too many things
I
going on.
can't read the graphic is so small. I can't see the list of what comes with it.
See, I
Maybe
did. I just went to another one here. Let's see what.
It does say Outlook,
Yeah,
home and business 2016,
but
Excel,
no
No,
publisher.
Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Outlook.
right.
No publisher.
What I'm trying to say is the student version does not come with Outlook.
Yeah, it does not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
OneNote is the free software now.
That's about what it's
So,
worth.
so never choose something because of OneNote.
I know
Yeah.
people that love it. I've
Yeah.
There
I've never
is an
used it.
Office 2019 also. I sent
Yeah,
it
I
to
have
you.
that. but I'm not gonna put it on her computer. I bought it for my computer. I guess I could update it on mine and then give her my license too.
But then again, why not just buy the Office 365?
No, I don't do subscription. I let you guys with all the money do that.
Um, I don't know, $30 a year subscription versus paying $50 for the software,
You
or
said
$40 for.
$30 a year, and all the ones that I saw are $5 a month or more.
No,
That's
in that site, 5 PCs, 3282, and that's for,
what are you talking about?
hold on,
That's just to start the first year. After that, you're gonna have to pay the regular price.
And then they got you hostage.
and then you buy another license like this and
No,
register.
it's a subscription. So you buy the first year at the discount, but after that, you're on the regular clock. So that discount doesn't go forward after the first year.
I don't want 365.
They have Office 2019 Pro Plus was $66.
Who does?
Uh,
Oh,
SCDT.
so we're all talking the same
Yeah.
place. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
and that
I
goes.
figured I'm still using 2003 with
Which does not support IPv6. If
what?
you enable IPv6 on that computer, your email will stop working.
Well, the thing is that that's what I've been using forever, and I just got the 2016. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
reason to get 2019, all that. That's what I figured, and I never understood what is that plus, and I think
It has to do with what's
Galaxy.
it has to do with what's within the package. I mean, the
It's
plus
got
publish.
info path, Skype, Access, Publisher, OneNote, Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, Word.
So I guess it's more like professional.
It's a business. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It. Well, we'll see. I mean, when I upgrade, I'll see. I hate to get into that ribbon thing, when you're
You
not
can turn
used
it
to
off.
it. The what?
You can turn it off, but here's the question though: is your be careful now? Is your Outlook version that you're currently
I
using 32-bit?
Okay, I don't use Outlook. I'll never use Outlook.
Okay, well then don't worry about what I was going to tell you.
Yeah, but you can tell other people.
Well, I don't think anybody's left using 2003 Amnon but you.
I don't know.
Here's the point. What I'm going to get to, and we won't have to spend any time on this. If you are using Outlook 2003, if you decide to switch over to Outlook later than 2003, which 2007, 2010 are no longer supported either. But if you decide to switch over, do not just open your PST file from 2003 and 2016 or 2019. Because if you do, you're going to be limited to a 2 gigabyte PST file because it's a 32-bit file. What you do is in Outlook, the new version of Outlook, the way you handle the problem is you open the file, not open it as a PST, but open it as an additional data file. And that Outlook allows you to read that file on the left side in the column. It shows as an additional file, not as your primary inbox. And then what you do is after you open that 32-bit file in Outlook 2016 or 19, you go over to that file if you want to move everything over. Then you highlight everything in the inbox on the additional data file, drag it over to your new inbox. When you do that, Outlook 2016 converts it to the new format, and you've got a tremendously larger PST file capability.
Okay, that's
Just
good.
do not
Good
directly
information.
use PST file.
Yeah, yeah. 2003 is limited to 2 gig. That's correct.
We had limitations
Yep.
on how much they would let us keep on the server. So what I would do is, and I think this was Office 2010, I would periodically every 6 months or so, I would move I'd create a separate PST file and archive it, save it. So I'd have all my mail for the last 6 months plus anything else. I'd have to just go in and click on the file and open it.
It
But
also
yeah,
Go ahead.
it went through the conversion process automatically. It was good.
It also makes a lot of sense, even though the later Office programs allow you a much larger inbox, to not keep thousands of messages in your inbox, but move them to other folders. Because if you have thousands of emails in your inbox, every time you open Outlook, it's going to be slow and it could get corrupted. So it makes a lot more sense to, like, every 6 months. I mean, it all depends how much emails you get. Just move stuff. In many cases, when people are having problems and they're telling me, "Oh, it doesn't open or it takes forever," I just tell them, create uh, inbox uh, 2018 and move everything from your inbox to that other folder now that you created, and suddenly Outlook gets new life. And you can always go back to that folder and deal with the old emails, but it's better to just on the fly move stuff. Put it in their own. I mean, all the new email programs have those rules and filters that you can say, if it came from BJ's, put it in here. If it came from John, put it in this folder, and your inbox stays lean. Everything works much faster.
99% fat free.
Fat free.
That's it.
Fat free.
Well, at my office, we have a brilliant IT guy. I mean, he just really knows his stuff. He's not that strong on Office and some of the applications, but he's learning as he's having to learn, and it's not a challenge for him. He just has to spend the time to do it, and once he does it, he masters it pretty quickly. I think we use Office 365. I'm not sure. I mean, for email, we're not doing the whole suite. We still use our old version. We're still on Office 2013 on the installed base, but uh, he's figured out ways of managing email where we don't have to delete anything, we don't have to archive anything, and there's some utility, some procedure he's got with the server that email is, I guess, after a certain period of time, is actually put into secondary storage, but it's seamless between our regular inbox and secondary storage. Apparently, it doesn't access it until you tell it to.
Well, that's nice that you don't have to act on that on the left-hand sidebar. There's no differentiation. That's
Nope,
great.
don't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's really good. I used to tutor people on how to, because you get this message from IT. Your inbox is too. You need to clear stuff off the server. And I actually put word out there to the people on my team on how to archive this stuff and organize it cleanly instead of just going through and massively. Oh, I had this email from 2 years ago and I can't find it now because I deleted it.
Yep.
So,
Well, I do the
yeah.
same thing. I even on my home computer, I have PST files from 2016, 2017, so forth.
I have some of my old work stuff going back to 2002 and 3.
Oh, I've got
I
stuff going back
Yeah,
to 1994, but
yeah.
not readily accessible.
I've
No,
been
I'm glad I did that. I may have mentioned one time before that my father was actually the if you're in the business, it means something to you, but without knowing the business, really, it won't mean anything to you. My father was actually the reason that there are 1,500 new FM radio stations in the United States back in the 80s because of some of the quirks of the way the FCC was allocating FM station. My father wanted to get one for our hometown. He figured it out technically, applied to the FCC, they rejected it, did a petition for rulemaking, they rejected it, did another one, they rejected it, and the third time they accepted it. This time after they accepted it, they went through hearings and so forth, and it became ultimately what's called Docket 8090. It was originally called Rulemaking 2587. And when it passed, it enabled several people I know to become multi mega millionaires because they were able to get radio stations that they were not able to get beforehand. Unfortunately, he never got one, so it was all a waste of time and money. But when the internet became a thing, I started going back searching. Well, let me back up. When I was in law school, we had LexisNexis and Westlaw, which were, I mean, just unbelievable research tools. Just
Still are.
I know they are, but this was before the internet, and you could find anything. I mean, it was just amazing. I did a research then back in the mid '90s and found Rulemaking 2587. Well, when I found it, I saved it as a text file. About 10 years ago, I started looking for it because I got into some discussions with radio people. And the first thing they say is, "Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. You from Laurenburg, you guys didn't do any of that stuff. You really, this is the big boys game. You really don't know what you're talking about." Okay, well, let's just have to read for ourselves. Couldn't find it. So I went on when the internet's here, big time, going strong. I started doing searches. I can't find it. I, to this day, have never been able to find it on the internet for rulemaking 2587 and docket 8090 with my father's name in it. Honest to goodness, it got to the point that I said, wait a minute, am I remembering this incorrectly? But then I found a program. What is the name of the program? I've talked about it here in the past. I forget the name of it. I still have it somewhere, but this program will go through and search for, what's it's a disk cataloging software. In it, can't remember the name, but maybe it'll come to me. But anyway, this software is amazing, written by a guy down in Brazil or Argentina or somewhere. And after about 10 years, he never updated the software. Well, one day I was sitting around, I said, well, I wonder if there's an update to this. There wasn't. So I checked his website, it was still there. I sent him an email about a week later. I asked him, I said, "Are you going to update this program or is it orphaned?" He wrote me back about a week later. He said, "Well, it's not orphaned. I still sell it and I haven't updated it. What would you like for it to do?" And I thought about it for a moment and realized it does everything I want it to do. But anyway, it's a disk cataloging program that what you do is you plug in a hard drive. It scans that hard drive and creates a database of everything on that hard drive. Then it has an interface where you can search through that interface to find things on that drive. I went through and cataloged at that time probably 25 hard drives. Now I've got 500 of them, but I went through and cataloged probably 25 of them. I said, I wonder. I went back on that program, which I had already scanned the drives, and I did a search for RM2587. And sure enough, it found it listed inside a zip file that had been copied over from a floppy disk.
Hmm.
I extracted it and now I have it right here on my computer. But eh, it's an amazing, amazing program. I have to find the name
Yeah,
of
you
it.
need to find the name of it. So,
I don't know how well it works, whether it's Windows 10 compatible. And it occurred to me that's what I was asking. I wanted to make sure the program remained compatible with modern operating systems. But shoot, what is? I
well,
think. I mean, I'll go boot a computer up over here. I think I've got it on another computer over here still. Cataloging. It's a disk cataloging program.
all right. Um, we're using Hangouts here to bring everybody together. Uh, the latest Google product coming to an end is Hangouts on Air. That's a different. That's a different Hangout. That's one that goes directly out and streams itself.
I think that surprises me a little bit.
Well, a fairly popular service for broadcasting a group video call live over the internet. Notices saying the service is going away later this year have started to pop up for users when they start a Hangout on air. That's coming from Ars Technica. Noting that Hangouts on air is completely different from Google Hangouts, which just so happens to also be shutting down in the not too distant future. So we're going to have to change maybe one of these days and go to something else. But Hangouts on Air is going away also later this year. I never knew anybody that actually
Well,
used it.
it's it's not precise. So Hangouts on Air is being replaced by another service.
What
There's
service?
they're just pushing everyone to YouTube Live.
Oh,
Okay. And Hangouts is being replaced by something called the Hangouts Chat and the Hangouts Meet. And it seems like that's currently focused on G Suite users.
but see, YouTube Live, and maybe I'm wrong. I never used anything else. I think you need to do RTMP. You need to have a software like we're using, like vMix, to stream to it if you want to use multiple cameras. With
Could be.
Hangouts on Air, you didn't have to do that. That's it. You started, everybody comes in, and you say stream. So
Hmm.
people could do it on the cheap, and it would work. It wasn't a professional thing, but it works.
Mhm.
Um, I guess I don't know if they're maybe, but maybe you can do more than that uh, with just YouTube Live, because I don't know which YouTube I'm uh, utilizing here among the CDNs, but I think it is either
Well,
YouTube
the
Live or YouTube Stream Now, or something like that. I don't know.
Amnon, keep in mind that tools today, the tools that you're talking about that needs to be installed, they're readily available.
Oh yeah,
Um, a free software that is pretty good
yeah,
and being used by most, but by a lot of YouTubers. So yeah, but I get your point. I mean,
yeah.
things are changing.
Well,
Yeah.
um, oh yeah. Here's something, Sheldon. I wanted that. I never knew it even existed. The Firefox random password generator is expected to become publicly available for all Firefox users with the release of Firefox 69, scheduled for release in early September. Roughly a year after Chrome 69, currently, the random password generator is only available in Firefox Nightly. Did you hear about random?
No,
That's
but
interesting.
I mean, I like the idea that they're pushing better security, but I would rather use a separate service for storing
Well,
passwords and things, right? So I for those who don't use it, I'm glad that it's going to be mainstream and it's going to be in their face, and maybe they'll start using it. But
it,
no, I haven't heard. I usually don't switch on uh, new features unless they really add something new. So the fact that it's just bundled into Firefox usually doesn't make me too excited, right? I'm usually already using some sort of
oh, well,
so my problem with it is this. Um, Security wise, I never want, like with money investments and everything, you don't want all of your eggs in the single basket, right?
yeah, sure.
So the most popular application that you're using is your biggest vector of attack for hackers,
Mm-hmm,
right? And
mm-hmm.
so that's Windows, that's the browser, right? And when I'm looking at how do I want to keep myself uh, as clean as possible, I'm trying to use tools that are well established, but then again, not bundled into the. I wouldn't use a Microsoft supplied. The Microsoft has their Windows credentials store, and a lot of software uses that, right? I use it only with software that must use it. Microsoft has an antivirus, which is pretty okay if you don't want to install an antivirus, right? So use theirs, but I would look elsewhere. I would always look at somehow to separate myself from the core package, because the core package, while it's doing its job, it's okay. I'm not seeing any major flaws in it. It is the first vector of attack anyway, right? Uh, so unless it's proven to be the only and best solution, I would look elsewhere.
I
And especially if they're late to the game. In this case, Firefox are late to the game with this.
Yeah, but the way that I see it helping is it will give those people that really, I mean, it's as hard as it is to believe. A lot of people don't know how to generate or how to make up a secured password. This
Well,
may give them the idea.
it gives the idea. The problem with generating a random password
Mhm.
is, before you start with generating random password, you need to be comfortable with using something that knows the passwords for you, right?
Okay.
And that is the threshold that needs to pass, not the password generator. And the moment you use some sort of password store that is much more effective, right? That's when it counts. So Firefox already has a password manager. It's been there for years, right? It's just in the background. It does things automatically for you.
Mhm.
If they would make it together with this password generator, then make it very easy to work with websites, I'm all for it. But I'm skeptical that they can create this leap, this change. We'll see.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
It's just interesting.
it is. I agree. I agree. It's interesting. There is good in it. I just, I would really like, one thing nice about this being Firefox, and as a nonprofit, open source, very open organization, they'll probably have really interesting statistics about adaptation and usage once it's switched on. And so that, I think we're seeing reports for that will be very interesting. Seeing how much people are adopting this new concept of automatically generating the password for them, especially if they didn't do it before. So that is definitely a good thing that I see it. We'll see where it takes us.
Well,
There has to be a better way than password, though. Passwords are,
yeah, the facial recognition.
no, that doesn't work either. It's like there's got to be a different way of authenticating that will make sense, but doesn't require so much effort. There's something isn't right at this. I mean, we're using devices left and right, and we can use them to authenticate us better than passwords. Um, there's some very, very, very nice solutions, but I think at this point there is some cumbersome process around implementing them, and that's why we don't see them out in the wild yet. A lot of single sign-on solution. There's one very popular with businesses, at least in the US, called Okta. And one of the things they do is, when you log in, they still require a password, but at least you only require one password. Once you log into that system, you can also log in with your phone. So uh, the login is performed, you are authenticated via the phone, and throughout the session, any other system that you are hooked up through Okta uh, will get you there, and you won't need to enter your credentials again and again and again. Something like that, but the whole concept of credentials needs to change.
Yeah, the thing is that you could, I don't know, you you would think that there would be something different, something new that already came up. I mean, how long have you been going with just a password and two-factor authentication is not taking off? Most people still using just a password, username and password, username and
Right.
password. And yeah, something needs to change. You're right. And it's amazing that all these years nothing else came up. But I don't know.
Well, that's the problem, right? Two-factor authentication is too technical, is
Yeah,
too, and it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I wonder if the younger generation is using two-factor authentication more rigorously, or it's just us old guys who know something about security that do it, right? It's like it feels like this is the way it should work, and people just don't get it, right?
right. I will never forget that Spence back in the 90s. You had that key that you every time. What was it, Spence? That you would have to. You got a different password every time.
Yeah, I had one of those when I was doing some contract work. Spence's not at his computer, but
Oh,
I had one of those at a company I did some work for, and what happened was, it was really neat the way it worked in that it was a crystal controlled unit. Every minute it generated a new
yeah,
code,
right.
and it was synchronized with the server. There was no communication between the 2, but it's just like setting a digital watch that changes over from 902, 903, 904. You synchronize it, it's accurate to within 15 seconds a month. These things were much more accurate than a $15 digital watch, and every minute it changed over to a new 4-digit code. You had to have that fob type device in your hand
Mm-hmm.
to be able to say, "I wanna log into my email account or funds account," or whatever it is. You had to look down and see your code is 1, 2, 3, 4. You type in 1, 2, 3, 4, it lets you in. If you're just looking down, if it's at 57 seconds, you type 1, 2, 3, it flips over, it won't let you in. You have to try it again.
Yeah,
It's a great system.
Yeah, it's still active. It's just instead of the fobs, they're using the authenticators
That's
on
the
the
name
mobile
of it.
devices. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's called I've got it on my phone now. If it wants
Google authentic There's a Google authenticator, there's a Microsoft authenticator. I actually The best one I can recommend is Authy, Authy. I'll write the link later. The reason I like that better is because Authy has an option of um, working on multiple devices. So if I want my keys to be shared with, let's say, my wife, right? Then all I need to do is just sync the two devices together. There's a safe way of doing that. And this way, the authenticator is also, I have a way of restoring it if I lose my phone or anything. And that's very, very nicely done.
I
hmm,
just opened up mine. I don't know which version it is. It just says authenticator on it.
Yeah.
And when I opened it up, I got a new phone. It says begin setup. So maybe that I have to go through the setup again. I only use this with my Coinbase account. I don't really know how it works because every time I log into Coinbase, it says, "What is your 2-step verification code?" I open Authenticator and there it is.
It works the same way. It's by the time. It's a calculation based on the time, and only the two parties knows the seed, right? Once the seed is set, then the calculation is done by that.
But I'm wondering if I have to go through setup because it's on a new phone.
Yeah, so you'll need to reset your authenticator code. That's
Or
what I
and
like about Authy. It can move throughout your devices. It has that option to import it into another device
spell it
very
again.
easily. Authy. Put
That
it
might
in
be
chat.
what this is. I don't know. Does Authy work with a Gmail account?
Yes, works with everything. everywhere it asks you to put in to use a Gmail, Google Authenticator, Authy works. Google Authenticator isn't anything proprietary to Google. It's called temporary TOTP, temporary or TOPP, something like that. Temporary password. I'll find it in a second. Time-based one-time password.
All right, so
TOPT.
I just went through the setup on this, and it says scan a barcode or do a manual entry. I don't know where I'd get a barcode unless maybe that's
From
the website.
Coinbase. Yeah, you'll need to log in. Now that you don't have your two-factor authentication, you'll need to use an alternative two-factor authentication, either a backup code that you should have saved when you registered the authenticator the first time, or they sometimes allow email, right? So as a second.
Yeah, because it's got the key
Recovery.
here, and it's asking for the key. I have no idea where a key is, so I imagine that I can go through the process again on Coinbase, and it'll set me up the second time the same way it did the first time.
Yeah, look
It
at
should.
the recovery options for when you don't have your two-factor authentication.
I actually have my old phone still here. That's why I never get rid of a phone.
Okay, so log in using your old phone authenticator code, and then you re-enroll the two-factor authentication to the new phone.
Yeah,
I would
well,
recommend do it this time with Authy, and that means that you will not need to re-authenticate again if
Okay.
you replace a device.
well, it's just money. It's not important.
Yeah.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where Spence is?
I don't know. It's interesting.
Aha!
Here's
Speak,
some.
you shall
Oh.
receive.
He'll come back.
He's back.
Oh.
Can you not see him, M9?
It's a tiny, tiny little thing back down there. I can't see from here. That's why I clicked on it to see
Have you
what
thought about
comes up.
getting a bigger monitor and putting it there so you can see it?
I have my priorities straight. It's fine. No,
You
it's
got-
the
a 30-year-old picture.
it's the stamp down there at the bottom right of the Hangout. That's the only place I can. Okay, Spence, you ready for specials? Is he muted?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just getting ready for Alaska. What?
Nothing. Did I say anything?
I figured I'd get ready, get in the right frame of mind here. This is the way we dress when we go up there.
Yeah.
It gets so cold. I've never needed a hat like that when I was up there. Not into September. After that, I'm sure it would work. But okay. So I have the pleasure of announcing our new offering, which is going to be a high-tech retro gas pump streaming.
Is the one that mixes?
It could. It depends. It depends on where you go. But the point is, we're going to have a line of retro-looking gas pumps with interactive monitors on them, so that as you pull up to the gas pump, it will detect your RFID tag and customize the video to you. And then give, as always, show clips and give bad advice. So I tell you, each week we're coming out with new innovation every week. It's amazing how innovative we've been. All right.
Neat.
So Computers 2K Now specials for July 7th, 2019. Oh, boy, it just keeps getting better and better. Prices come down, features go up. There's just no reason to hold your money. You just need to go out and buy stuff, right? All right. So starting with laptops at Best Buy, we have an Asus 14-inch touchscreen Ryzen 5 laptop, 8 gig of memory, 256 gig SSD for $629. That's $120 off. I've used an Acer laptop, but I've never used an Asus
Nick
laptop. And
Nick did, and he didn't like it because of battery life.
okay. But that might have been just that particular model.
Yeah.
But I know people that use them. I mean, I know people who have talked about them, but I've never actually had hands-on experience with it. So, and you don't see them. They're not that out there in the marketplace. I know they're available, but they're just you see mostly HP, Dell, and Lenovo out there. Okay, Office Depot has a HP 15.6-inch touchscreen with an i5 8 gig of memory, 256 SSD. This is what I was saying before, how you're seeing solid state drives show up more and more now, even in mid-range laptops. This is $569, which is $130 off. And Staples has a Lenovo IdeaPad L340 for $279, which is $140 off. This is what I would say is like the consumer versions, one of the ones that Mike was talking about before. I would, if you could afford it, I would go with the 500 series if you're going to buy a Lenovo, which is really a business class machine. But this is a good entry level machine at $279. Desktops and all-in-ones at Best Buy. We've got a Lenovo AMD A9 desktop, 4 gig of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive for $279, $80 off. Office Depot has a Lenovo Idea Center 720 with a Ryzen 7. This is a high-end machine, 16 gig of memory, 2 terabyte hard drive for $849. It's $200 off the regular price. Now that we see the Ryzen series out there, it is a little bit cheaper than Intel, and I know Intel has done some pricing action to counter it, but the prices are more in line with what Intel's were, so you don't see that much of a delta in prices with AMD anymore. Staples has an HP 23.8-inch all-in-one i3 8 gig of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive for $479, which is $140 off. Tablets. We don't today have any true tablets. I think there's one at Walmart, but these are all what do we call the convertible or dual use, dual purpose touchscreen laptops. Microsoft Surface Pro 6 at Best Buy for $799. This is a 12.3-inch touchscreen, Core i5, save $230. Lenovo, I'm sorry, Office Depot has a Lenovo touchscreen 2-in-1 Chromebook. This has a MediaTek quad processor on it, 4 gig of memory, 64 gig solid state, not even a solid state drive per se. It's a flash drive. Which if I was buying this machine, I would probably upgrade it to a true SSD. I did buy one like this, a Dell machine that I didn't like the 64 gig drive, and I upgraded it. It's the same form factor, which is good. It was a SATA drive. So $269 is $30 off. Staples has a Lenovo Flex 14-inch touchscreen laptop, i5, 8 gig of memory, 256 SSD for $599, save $200. Networking, we have Best Buy, the Velop Tri-Band Mesh Wi-Fi system. This is a 2-pack from Linksys, $249, say $50. You can buy this as a single base station in a 2-pack with a 1 remote and a 3-pack with 2 remotes, and then add remotes as needed. I think there's a maximum number that you can hang off of the base station, but again, good for solving issues with coverage in houses in a relatively simple way, something you can plug in and move around and tune as needed. Office Depot has a deal on streaming devices. All 3, Roku, Chromecast, and Fire Stick, are on sale from $29 to $39. And Staples has a Netgear AC1200 dual band gigabit Wi-Fi range extender. Very, very flexible device in that it can offer you an Ethernet port, remote Ethernet port over Wi-Fi. It can connect to your Ethernet and act as a access point. It can be a range extender for existing network. So very flexible device, can be configured lots of different ways. This is $89, which is $20 off the regular price. Storage. Best Buy has a Western Digital Easy Store 4 terabyte USB 3.0 portable drive for $99. That's $50 off the regular price. That's a good size for that price. Let's see. Office Depot has 32 gig USB 3.0 flash drives on sale. It's not a 2-pack. It shows 2 different colors, but it's a single flash drive for $8.99, which is $9 off. Finally, the USB 3 stuff is really getting out there. You still see 2.0, but 3, the prices have come down to the point where it's doesn't make any sense to buy a 2, depending on what you're doing with it. If it's just copying something every once in a while as a backup, but if you're moving on a regular basis, moving large files around, and you need to have the speed, I'd go with a USB 3.0. It makes a big difference. Staples has an HP solid state drive, 500 gig, for $54.99, save $65. And this is a good size if you want to upgrade your existing laptop or even desktop. Have it as your C drive for loading your programs and operating system quickly. This is a good price, $54.99. Accessories. Samsung at Best Buy, which is they call it EVO Plus 1 terabyte internal PCI Express solid state drive. This is interesting because it uses the internal PCI Express slot. So you can easily add an extra drive to a desktop that doesn't have any more slots. So in some cases, it can be added to laptops if they have the room for PCI Express. Depends on the machine. Usually business machines will have enough room to fit this drive in there, but a great way to add an additional terabyte of solid state drive, $219, just $30 off. Wow, Amnon, look at this 8 battery
11?
backup. It's
Are we-
11,000 VA.
Is that a misprint?
That's a typo.
Yeah.
It's 1,100 VA or 600 watts. I thought, wow, 11,000 for $146. So, but good deal, $20 off. APC Battery Backup Pro, 10 outlet tower at Office Depot, $145.69. Staples has a Logitech H390 computer headset over the head. I mean, all of them go over your head, don't they?
Well, some of them are just in the
But,
ear.
you would say either
Yeah.
over the ear.
Yeah.
But it
It's
looks
fine.
like it's relatively comfortable. $29. It's wired. It's not wireless, but depending on what you're doing, if you do go on occasion, like if you're working and you go on occasional conference calls, um, or you need to listen to audio privately and still have a microphone available, these are pretty good. The sound quality is decent. I know it's not up there with professional quality, but it's still good for the a conference call or something. Save $10. All right, monitors. We have at Best Buy a Samsung 24-inch Full HD FreeSync monitor for $129, save $20. Office Depot has an HP 22-inch Full HD monitor for $89, save $20. And Staples has a 27-inch HP monitor for $149, save $50. Printers and scanners, we have at Best Buy the Brother L2395 DW wireless monochrome all-in-one laser printer. Now this does have a scanner, but I don't. Based on the top, it's hard to say whether this has a sheet feeder. It doesn't look like it. Looks like it just has a place
Yeah,
to
it doesn't
open the
look
top.
like it.
Yeah, because I mean, the sheet feeders are getting smaller and smaller, so who knows? But the point is, it's a good price. It's a I would call it an entry level business machine. It does have a fax machine built in, so $119.99, say $50. You can go with the high capacity cartridges and run the thing forever. If you have, if you're using it for moderate use, they'll go and go and go. I kept when I had a new printer like this, I had the starter cartridge, and I kept it going for years because it would say change cartridge. I'd take it out, I'd shake it, and put it back in again. It would just keep working. Eventually, it started to get a dead spot on one side of the page, so I finally replaced it. But you can just keep them going forever. Office Depot has a Canon Pixma entry-level inkjet printer for $69, $80 off. Staples has an HP OfficeJet Pro, $69.78, color inkjet. Now this does have a sheet feeder. It's a printer, scanner, copier for $89. Normally $179.99. Home automation and security. Best Buy has the TP-Link Casa brand. This is what their high-end product line, high-end branded name, I should say. Indoor, a full HD Wi-Fi security camera for $64.99. It's 15 off. Office Depot has the Google Home mini speakers for $24. That's $25 off, half price. Excuse me. Staples has the Google Home Hub smart home controller for $79, which is $50 off. How big is that screen? It's like 7 inches or something like that. It's probably based on a tablet.
I think it's 5 or
inches?
6 inches. Yeah.
Okay. Big enough for what you want to do with it, right? Does it have a camera? It doesn't. I can't tell if it has a camera. It probably does. You could do some video calling on it. Okay.
Yeah,
Switching over to Walmart now. They've got a 24-inch full HD 1080p monitor. They say monitor for $89. It's normally $149. That's a good price for a 24-inch monitor. If it's full
Next
HD.
day eligible.
Next day eligible. That's right. You could pick it up the next day. When they say eligible, it means it's waiting on the bench in the warehouse to be shipped to you. I mean, just sitting there eager to jump on the truck and come to your local store. So good deal on a monitor. They've got an Asus VivoBook 15.6-inch laptop for $259. Normally $399. That's a A12 processor, which is the high-end mobile processor, 4 gig of memory, 128 gig SSD. So this is not necessarily an older model. Although the A series is still, now they've got the Ryzen mobile also, but this is a fairly good machine. But for $259, it's normally $399. They've got a sale on the Apple Watch Series 3. It's not the very latest one, but it's got GPS built in, aluminum finish with the sport band for $199, lists for $279. Here's the only real tablet of the day that I ran across. This is a Lenovo Tab E7 7-inch Android tablet. Got a quad-core processor for $54.98, normally $99. They've got a sale on the Fitbit Charge 3. Now, this is a discontinued model. I believe it's a discontinued model, the 3. I think they have the 3, the next one. It looks like the older one.
Yeah, it still tracks you.
It's still $119. It normally sells, it's sold forever at like Costco for $149. I'm actually wearing the older version of it now. I adopted it after Pam stopped using it, so I'm going to wear it when I go to Alaska just to keep track of walking and make sure I get enough steps in every day. It's kind of hard when you're mostly driving, but I'll use it to monitor and make myself walk. So $119 for that, and then they've got a Scepter 32-inch 720p HD television for $79. There you go. There's your 32-inch monitor, right?
Yeah.
Good deal. And finally, a full Vizio 50-inch 4K HD smart TV for $279, normally $428, or list price $428. So that's a deal on a television. Okay, but wait, there's more. Amnon, I know that your crayons are all down to little stubs.
Yeah.
You need to replace and get a new box. So here's a box of 24 of the very latest politically correct colors. All set, it's only 50 cents. So I think you should stock up, get several. So as many as you can put in your shopping bag. That's at Staples. Staples has a Logitech illuminated K740 wired keyboard for $59. That's $20 off. Illuminated is handy under certain circumstances. If you're a troll and live in the basement and have no lighting, it's really handy. So Office Depot has 2 versions of the SanDisk iExpand mobile storage USB Lightning backup. Now, this is made specifically for iOS products because it's got the Lightning connector. So this will help you move data back and forth to your iPhone, back stuff up, store it on a computer. It's essentially a two-ended device where you've got the Lightning connector and the USB 3 connector on the other side. So 32 gig for $29, 64 gig for $49. Best Buy also has Sims 4, Amnon. So you can upgrade from Sims 3 that you've been playing. $32.99, say $7. And this is your new studio machine, Omen Obelisk desktop Core i7, $17.49, say $250. Just think about how much money you're saving, right?
Yeah. But
So
it's an
worth it.
HP.
I had to spend $1,700 so I could save $250.
What do you mean I
Okay,
spent
that's the logic some
17?
people use. I mean,
I
really.
saved.
But I saved $250.
Yeah.
When I spent this. Office Depot, those 2 things were at Best Buy. Office Depot has Brother P-Touch Cube label printer for $39. This is $20 off. A very niche product, but if you do print labels like this, you want to print them from your computer with ease instead of having the handheld thing where you actually have to key in the entry. This is a nice way to go. Don't know what cartridges they use, and some of the Brother cartridges can be quite pricey. And the thing to look at with any of these type of printers is to find out, can you shorten the lead tape? I figured out a way to save on tape instead of printing one thing at a time with a 1 inch of blank tape on either side of the graphic, is to just chain them together. If I have to make a bunch of labels, I'll put in the first label, I'll leave a couple of spaces, I'll put in the next label, leave a couple of spaces, and I'll just keep going out like that and then print it. And then I save and cut them manually with a scissor, and then I don't have to have all that extra wasted tape. But handy dandy stuff. Walmart has a great deal on Victrola Bluetooth portable suitcase record players. It says 32 to 54. They didn't get into details unless they charge different amount for different colors or features. I don't know what it was, but if you have a bunch of, I wouldn't, if you're an audiophile and you're saving vinyl now as your new thing, this is probably not what you want. But if you have a bunch of old records around that aren't in such great shape and you want to listen to them, hey, this is an inexpensive way to do it. Bluetooth. So you can play stuff through the speakers. Probably has a record to MP3 feature on it, I would guess, if it's going to be for this price. Also, if you're these two things are definitely for summer, for going down to the lake. Zero gravity chair 2-pack for $79. I just tossed out my daughter's. She had one of these chairs for years and years and years, and finally the webbing just let go. It was gone. The framework was still in good shape, but I said, I try to fix it, but it's not worth it. But $79. I think she paid $80 for the one chair when she bought it. This is
So
two for
gravity finally won.
Gravity won. That's right. Gravity will eventually win. Always. As you get older, gravity takes over, and
Yep.
You get closer and closer to the ground. So, and finally, 2-person inflatable kayak, only $59. Amnon, it's got everything. It's got the pump. It's got the paddles. Here you go. I was just out on Jordan Lake yesterday. We went to visit a friend who was camping at the lake and went out on his boat. And this boat was a monster. It was a 22-foot pro bass boat with a 225 horsepower engine on it. And he let me drive it, and I felt uncomfortable going over 30 miles an hour. It would go 60. And I would imagine, and I did see, we're out there and I'm tootling around and I see 2 people in a canoe. And I'm like, I better get nowhere near these people. He said, no, either one, I'll scare them to death, or 2, I'll swamp. So I made sure I steered clear of that canoe. But there you go, Amnon, $59.99.
Yep.
Let's take it on vacation.
Right.
And I do leave next Monday for Alaska, so I should be here for for next week's show, unless
We'll
something
see.
comes up. See, so this may be the next to last specials until I return, because the time difference just does not allow me to participate the way I would like. Plus the fact that I actually have to work every day, so up there is kind of the point. All right. That's it for Computers 2K Now specials for July 7th,
Well,
2019.
thank you.
As always, we aim to please.
Please aim to.
That's right. We aim to please. You aim to please.
All right,
All right.
we've heard a lot about this from different companies, but Amazon is into it now. Let's see if they will succeed. Amazon is asking the FCC for permission to launch 3,236 satellites that would be used to establish a globe-spanning internet network. Seeking Alpha reported that Amazon expects to offer service to tens of millions of underserved customers around the world via the network which the company is developing. Who else did it? Microsoft was trying to do it. Google was trying to do it. Nobody ever actually did it, did they?
I think the most successful version of that they had wasn't satellites, but they were doing it in some areas of the world with balloons.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
put
there's
up
still, but it's not a worldwide.
No, this kind of troubles me because there's already so much crap in space.
Can you imagine
Inactive
another
satellites.
3,236? Um, space the space in the space race that we're going to have. I mean,
Right.
those rockets are going to have to maneuver between all these devices that are up there.
There is a Air Force station in Alaska that we pass on our daily back and forths that is being upgraded now specifically to track space junk and objects. They were built to track missiles, but one of their missions, they can get down to now the size of a basketball, and the new system will be the size of a baseball. They'll be able to track these devices in orbit. And because there's so much stuff up there, they have to move the space station every so often to avoid getting
Collisions.
into collisions with stuff. Yeah. So there's just
amazing.
a lot of stuff up there. And there actually is talks going on about some way of creating giant nets, taking them up into orbit and basically scooping up junk and just slowing it down so it will re-enter and burn up on the way back into the atmosphere because there's so much
Or
stuff.
install traffic lights.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Right.
Or just
Exactly.
slow the Earth down so
Yeah.
that their gravity or slow all the stuff down in orbit so it just drops and start over.
Hey, guys.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
According to a recent Hub Entertainment Research survey, 23% of respondents said they would definitely or probably drop their Netflix subscription if it began running ads at its current price point or $1 cheaper. That percentage would represent a loss of nearly 14 million subscribers from Netflix's 60 million paid subscribers in the US. So they are thinking about running ads?
I haven't heard about that. I don't know where. Some of these surveys, they don't come from Netflix. They come from just news outlets.
You mean fake
Trying
news?
to-
Fake news.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about fake news, but it doesn't come. I've never heard about Netflix suggesting ads. But I would see how that would drive people away.
Sure.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I've never paid for Hulu. Never jumped on their bandwagon, because even after you pay, you get ads. No, man, no, that's not for me. The first thing I install on any browser I use, even if it's not my own, is an ad blocker. It's like I can't see. I understand the need for ads. I understand it, but the way they're implemented in 99% of locations is just horrible, right? And so I I find my ways to legitimately get the content, not screw up the services I'm using,
Mhm.
or I just don't use the service. You don't use the service if it's just too packed with that.
Yeah.
Well, Netflix is gonna see a huge increase in subscriptions because they signed up Michelle and Barack Obama for one production company, and Hillary and Chelsea Clinton for another production company. So they're going to be putting out stuff now, and it's just going to people flocking to Netflix.
Okay.
Did you see this?
No. Are
Yeah,
you're
it's well
being
the
serious?
Obama. No, I'm serious. The Obama announcement was over a year ago that they would be forming a production company, and what they really think is it's a way that Netflix can just essentially give money to the Obama Foundation. And they Hillary and Chelsea announced something. It's probably a month or so, maybe 2 months ago, that they would be doing something with Netflix, and a lot of people said, "Cancel."
I'll bet.
No.
And if you're using Samsung, over 10 million users have been duped in installing a fake Samsung app named Updates for Samsung that promises firmware updates, but in reality redirects users to an ad filled website and charges for firmware downloads. Um, Reading about this, uh, apparently it's hard to find updates for firmware for a Samsung phone. So this looked very nice to a lot of users, over 10 million of them. And they installed it and got screwed. So be careful. And here's something. What? You're going to say something?
On Android phones, when you're looking um, at the Play Store
Yeah.
and you're looking at an app, it's very important to see who produces the application. And I think there are ways to identify whether it's Samsung or not. Just go to another application that's already installed on your phone that is in the App Store. You can see how the manufacturer calls it himself, uh, and then uh, compare that. There's other tips, probably URLs or stuff like that, of where um, who the producer is, and on information like that. If you see an application from Samsung and the producer, and you hit on the producer name, you are supposed to see other applications for it. If you only see a single application by Samsung, by the way that producer identified itself, that's a red flag.
Good to know. And that's for any, not just for Samsung.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was using this as an example.
Now, here is a bit of disturbing news.
I
Uh,
can't handle disturbing news,
yeah.
please.
Despite documented overwhelming opposition by the public, ICANN, which is the Internet Authority for all the names, has lifted all fee caps on .org domain name. And that means, I mean, to get an org is already more expensive a year than the other uh, extensions like .com, .net, and as discussed in a prior slash that article in April when the public comment period was open. This would permit unlimited fee increases for .org registrant and may set the stage for higher fees on owners of .com domain name. This decision demonstrates an enormous disconnect between ICANN, which is supposed to serve the public interest as a nonprofit overseer of domain name regulations, and the public it purports to serve. And .org is really was invented there for nonprofits and for little and when we say nonprofits, we don't mean just the big guys that are out there, but any small operation of groups, companies, or anything like that doesn't have the budget for these things. I mean, right now I think it's $27 or something like that. But it's just like somebody would say, okay, power company, no caps. If the utilities commission would say, you can raise it as much as you want. That's what happens here is there are no caps. So they can decide what the caps, how much to sell it for. Hopefully there will be competition and maybe the prices will actually come down. We'll have to wait and see, but this will be disturbing news for .org registrants. Where was it? We'll get into some of this. This is from last week. Things changed a little bit since then. China's Huawei has taken a harder than expected hit from the US ban. The company founder and CEO Ren Zhengfei said and slashed revenue expectations for the year. Ren's downbeat assessment that the ban will hit revenue by 30 billion. The first time Huawei has quantified the impact of the U.S. action. It comes as a surprise after weeks of defiant comments from company executives who maintain Huawei was technologically self-sufficient. Huawei had not expected that U.S. determination to crack the company would be so strong and so pervasive. He said that speaking at the company's Shenzhen headquarters on Monday. 2 U.S. tech experts also joined the session and said, we did not expect they would attack us on so many aspects, adding he expects a revival in business in 2021. So anybody who says that Trump's tariffs and blacklisting and all that don't work, here is the proof. I mean, it took some time.
No, they thumbed their noses at us, and
Well-
we said, "Okay, we'll play a game of chicken with you," and they blinked.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and it took some time. I mean,
It always takes
took a
time.
few
Anything
months, but
easy and
there-
quick is
yeah.
usually not worthwhile.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Now, last week, I know Trump allowed companies to sell them some chips. Apparently, it's not military secrets. That's to sell them, not to buy from them, but to sell them. So that's the change. What else? Did you hear that Apple is manufacturing the new Mac Pro computers in China?
Instead of Austin, Texas,
Uh-huh.
and I guess they're still gonna be using Windows 10 computers to manufacture them, like they were in Austin, Texas.
No,
Okay.
they're going to use Huawei or Highway computers.
Highway?
Highway, that's the knockoff.
Oh, okay.
Highway as in Highway.
Yeah. So it's interesting about Apple. So think about it. Apple fanboys don't care.
I didn't know they still made them.
There was some talk about them not making them anymore, and there was a long lag between new models. They
I
had
mean,
a
they're so far behind on technology, it's just laughable.
yeah. Well, the people that do Final Cut Pro and all that were really pissed off because there was no new upgrade path for a long time.
Well, they're just now they probably are gonna start making these Mac Pros in dual cores now.
Yeah,
I mean, we wanna make sure the technology is sound before we switch over.
that's right. Or we can get a really good deal on old technology.
Well, I mean, and we pick on Apple, but I actually have some people who talked with some of their higher ups and asked them why they were not more of an innovator, and they said, "We don't need to innovate, we just need to be the best." I don't think that's working well for them right now.
No.
There was a story. I didn't save it. What's his name? The person in charge of the design at
Oh,
Apple.
he's not there anymore.
And why did he leave?
Differences with, Cook.
Cook, because
Yeah.
Cook doesn't care about innovation and new designs and things like that.
Worse than that, he has stated that he does not want half the people in the United States using his products.
Oh,
Yep.
well,
He has stated it. I heard him say it.
Yeah, they can't help themselves. They don't realize they think that everybody thinks the way that they do,
right.
and or anybody that's important thinks the way that they do. So that when they come out with this stuff, they're shocked that people react to it. What? Well,
Ah,
it's the Alyssa Milano syndrome.
and this is nice to know. Google last week began rolling out location history deletion tool to Android and iOS, giving users a relatively simple way to limit the scope of Google location tracking. Isn't that nice?
Let me tell you something.
But wait, but hold on. Users can only choose between deleting data after 3 or 18 months.
Let me tell you this. I like there's one show on the on NBC that I forced myself to watch. I really like the show. I detest the network. It's called uh for crying out loud.
For crying out loud.
Dateline NBC.
Okay.
I really like the show, and I haven't seen a whole lot of politics on it, and that's fine as long as they keep their mouths shut and focus on the topic of the show.
Mhm.
But there are a couple of the shows that I have saved and downloaded because if you if you and I sit beside each other and watch the show, you and I will get different things out of it because we look for what resonates with us based on our
Sure.
life experiences, things like that. That's normal. If you watch this show and I say, Amnon, now when you watch this, I want you to pay attention to the technical ability of law enforcement to track and identify where you are and what you're doing. And if it doesn't scare the heck out of you, you're not paying attention. Did you know that? And this part, I'm still not clear. Either they haven't been clear about it or they're lying about it or I just don't understand it. But when they're trying to figure out whether the bad guy actually left his office at 3 o'clock in the morning, went home, killed his wife, and got back to the office by 3:30,
Mhm.
they say they go either into the black box on his car or the GPS and they can actually track where he has been. Now, I don't know. Our cars are older. I don't know what's on these newer cars, but I will tell you this. If you decide to commit a heinous crime, you need to number one, throw your telephone in the ocean before you leave. And make sure you haven't used it for any nefarious activity and steal a car. Don't buy a car. Don't use your own personal car. Make sure you have no electronics with you at any time because you will be amazed at what abilities the government has to track your every movement.
But then you can't take a selfie of disposing the body.
Well, darn. Steal a phone.
We'll have a series of, we'll have a new rental agency that will rent only 1971 Beetles just for people to commit crimes with.
Yeah.
Wow.
I recommend that
Amazing.
show, just like I recommend the air disasters.
Oh, Air Disasters is good, but you don't want to watch it before you go on a flight.
I disagree. Because if you realize that anything that you see on that show will almost never possibly happen again.
Well, that's true. It does actually lead to innovation and new precautions. But the
Although
the
I'm going
whole
to tell you, there is one that does continually recur. Pilot.
what's it? Pilot. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a series of events. Usually it's not
That's
one
the
big
event
mistake.
part.
It's a
Yes,
bunch of small mistakes.
exactly right. And that's why there are so few wrecks, because accidents, because it's not usually that they flip the wrong button, it's that they flip the wrong button and then they flip the next wrong button to compensate for it, and then they overcompensated to the left when they should have been doing it on the right.
Have you followed the latest on the Boeing 737-900?
Depends on what the latest is. My
Well,
information is at least a couple of
the
months old.
one thing that came out, it's fairly recent, the last week or so,
No.
was that and this was talking to actually some of the pilots, that when you introduce a new version of a plane, if it's just a update to an existing plane, the training regimen and requirements are much less than if it's a new model. So the way Boeing handled it is they introduced the 900 as an update to the old model, so that it didn't require a whole new training regimen and simulator time and all that, because the airlines were looking to save money. And a lot of these airlines don't have simulators, they have to rent them. So what was left out of the training was how to overcome the autopilot taking over and putting the plane into a dive. There is a procedure, and some pilots knew it. And the way it came out was that there was a guy riding in a jump seat on one of these planes after the first crash, before the second crash, where they went into this dive, and the pilots who were flying the plane, I don't know what airline it was, had no idea what to do. But the guy who was in the jump seat was a senior pilot, had been through some training. He said, "Oh, just do this, and it cancels out the autopilot, and you recover the plane." And they did. So it was really a training decision. The second thing that came out was that the software that they used to develop for the 900 was developed by contractors, a company from India that was paying these guys $10 an hour. How do you get past this? I mean, this is just stupid.
There
But
are some philosophies out there that this could sink Boeing.
it could. It very well could.
I don't see
Yeah.
how. They're just too big. The government is too dependent on them for military purposes. The industry, they are by far and away the largest supplier. I mean,
Well,
they've
maybe not sink them, but something will change. This
well,
will be it'll cause there to be such a disruption that there will have to be some type of reorganization and
quadruple the golden
yeah.
parachute for the CEO and
Oh
move.
yeah, they'll just get out when they smell the thing that's going to burn up on them. They're going to be out of there quick as anything, and it's ultimately the passengers are going to pay for it, because it'll cause costs to go up. And
But I
yeah.
understood there was no way to turn off the autopilot. Is that not accurate?
No,
Even
there is a way to do it. It's a procedural thing.
on the very first version, the one that crashed, they could have done
The
it on
one that crashed, there was a way to cancel. Well, there was something you could do, and they had, I don't know if it was how they documented it, but this particular pilot knew what to do to cancel the autopilot. There is a procedure you do. It's not just like flip a switch. It's a thing you had to do, a series of things that would cancel it, and you could take over the plane again. But these
Well,
they
Oh,
were not aware of it.
yeah. You need to download from
Patch.
hacks.crack.xxx,
Yeah.
and you need to load via the USB and enable debug mode and
there is, but the facts speak for themselves.
jailbreak the Boeing.
Yeah, I mean, the facts speak for themselves, and the reality is, and we all fly. The reality is, Sephamnon. The reality is that there has not been a fatal airline crash in the United States in more than 10 years. Number one. Number two, if you are involved in an airline accident, the chances of you being in an airline crash are 1 in 10 million. Number one. Number two, if you happen to be that 1 in 10 million, the likelihood that you will survive that crash, don't know what condition you'll be in, but the likelihood that you will live is over 80%.
Statistically, it is amazing. Yeah, I have people that criticize me because I fall asleep before the plane takes off. I'll be sitting in the seat and I can be out and wake up when the stewardess comes around. Or oh, sorry, I said stewardess, flight attendant comes around.
All right. Hail Mary.
Yeah, be careful.
No, I mean, the problem is there will always be people and people will always make mistakes. And it doesn't matter whether you're in a car, in a boat, or walk. You can be walking down the sidewalk and some moron will drive over the curb and hit you with the car.
All right, so here's something that touches all of us.
I got something that touches all of us. Don't let me forget it about the police stuff.
Oh, you want to talk about it? The U.S. government announced a nationwide crackdown on illegal robocalls on Tuesday, targeting companies and individuals who have collectively placed over 1 billion unwanted calls for financial schemes and other services.
Half of those were to my house.
I know, the other half here. So it didn't touch all of us. According to the Federal Trade Commission, the crackdown involves nearly 100 cases, 5 of which are criminal enforcement actions. They were brought by the FTC, Justice Department, 15 states, and a slew of local authorities. It marks the latest effort by regulators to battle back the tide of unwanted and illegal calls from telemarketers and scammers. Some of those targeted by the action were a major source of robocalls. Derek Jason Bartoli, a Florida man who allegedly developed, sold, and used a form of software that allows millions of calls to be placed in quick succession, was responsible for 57 million calls to U.S. phone numbers over 6 months in 2017, according to a federal complaint. The joint action include the states of Alabama, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Missouri, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Virginia. Why not all states? I don't know. But I have seen a drop, big drop in unknown calls or whatever in the last week or so. I used to get one like every hour. There would be one, and it kind of dried out a little bit. So maybe that's a good sign. But it did dry out before, and then it took over. And it's like a flood comes in. So we'll have to wait and see. Um, did you see any drop in those calls to your house, Mike?
I don't know. We don't answer our home phone anymore.
With VoIP, it's great because you can see it says no data. You don't
Well,
answer.
we don't even look at it. We don't even if it's here. The thing is, somebody calls our number. If they leave a voicemail, it emails the voicemail to my wife. If somebody wants to get up with us, if they leave a voicemail, they'll be able to get up with us if we choose to call them back. After that, I'm just not wasting my time. I don't even bother to go look on caller ID anymore.
I wish I had that luxury. That would be nice. But we'll see. Maybe something will happen. Of course, remember one thing. This is all in the States. I don't think that we can do anything to people who are calling out from
They're not
India.
going to stop it.
What?
They're not going to stop it.
Right.
And the biggest part of the problem is the some of the worst violators are politicians, and they're exempt.
Oh, yeah, they can just do whatever they want. Well, to really fix it, they'd have to change the whole caller ID system, the System 7 signaling system that's out there now that handles all this stuff and the enhancements to it that work off of that help with the emergency 911 system and all these things are all tied together. You'd have to change the whole thing. So you'd have to have a major rewrite. Some of the older equipment that's out there couldn't handle the new software.
I don't
So you've
know.
got a huge, huge issue.
What if they come up with a way to prevent people from spoofing numbers?
Yeah, well, that's it. You would have to have. They want to have some type of authentication process,
How
but
about making
that
it
would be
felony
very,
phone number?
very complicated.
You can buy an app for your iPhone to do that.
Yep.
You don't have to buy it. It's probably a free app.
Well, the Verizon one is crap. It doesn't work. They do have when they offer, oh, get rid of robocalls, and
Mm.
it's just widely
I'm talking
people
about
got.
an app that you can dial in what you want it to say for your caller ID on your
Oh,
phone.
right. No, you can do that. Sure.
Spoofing tool.
It was something that Verizon actually put out a notice to say, here's how you do it.
Yeah.
Telling
Why?
you it was available.
Why would they do that?
Who knows? It's
I mean, it makes no
um,
sense. Today, it doesn't cost almost, I don't know anybody that does it, but most people have unlimited calls.
Well, now I will tell you how there's actually a little trick you can do. I haven't done it, but there's a trick you can do that will minimize the number of voicemails that you receive from robocallers. Because a lot of times you check your voicemail, the voicemail starts playing back mid sentence with, and you will be able to get this just for your family. No one else in the world gets this but you at this once in a lifetime price. But the way that you can overcome a lot of that is you actually have an outgoing voicemail message that's 30 seconds or longer because these things will not wait around that long. They're based on time. They won't wait around that long to do it. Thank you. You've reached this is Spencer. Unfortunately, I'm packing to go to Alaska now. As you know, that's a very long trip, a long time. We're going to be away for a long time, even though Smith and Weston will be guarding our house while we're gone. And I mean, just make it 30, 45 seconds. And when you come to check your voicemail messages, only people who really want to talk to you are going to hang around long enough to leave a voicemail.
Huh?
And Alan wants to know, Spence, if you get robocalls in Alaska.
um, not as many.
Well,
Isn't
I
that
don't see
weird?
what's
Isn't
the
that strange?
difference.
But
I
not
don't
as
see
many.
what's the difference. It's still the same number.
It's still the same number, but I get not as many. And then the other thing too is that I am not allowed to have my phone out in view when I'm with guests. That's just the policy of the company. You put the
Mhm.
phone is in my locker, in my bag, or somewhere put away inside the coach. Only time I can have it out is when I'm away from customers or I have an emergency that I have to make a call.
That's a good policy.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. I
Anyway,
Amnon since I switched to the premium on UMA
Yeah.
and turned on that service that they have, I've seen a big reduction in my calls to the home.
Yeah, it
So that
works.
does help. It does work. But they keep, sometimes I'll see spoof calls come over
Mhm.
and they'll come in like 3 calls from someplace in Washington state, which with just very similar numbers. So they're just going through
And
they're just
and you
going
know
through and
and
just spoofing.
and you know that you can go in and just click on them and they'll won't be coming anymore.
But they don't use the same number.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you do it like this, and it's. I mean, we were getting a bunch of calls from some Smithfield number. It was the same number, and Kathy didn't tell me. And finally, she said, "I'm tired of getting these." So I went in and I marked it telemarketer. That's it. No more.
Yeah. I've been
So
getting the same call now, and they actually do leave a message because they say, "Hello, Spencer. We need to talk to you about your student loans.
uh,
We can help lower your rate. It's very important that since we last spoke, it's that trick. It's
yeah,
like I used to
yeah.
get the call from the guy selling the stock. So what do you think of that stock that I told you about last time? I said, who are you? Oh, it's Ned. The last time we spoke about that stock. So I try to have fun with them and just
It is. I
basically
mean, if you have the time,
use up their time by
yeah.
saying,
If
"Oh,
you
so
have
Ned,
time,
what was that? I remember now. What was that stock?" And to go through talking about it, I say, "Well, um, the SEC has contacted me, and this conversation is being recorded." Click. Yeah, I wish there was
yeah,
a way. I used to have this device that was attached to the phone. It was a little button you'd press, and it would make a tone. It go bong bong. This number does not accept solicitor calls. Please put us on your do not call list. But you had to press the button to do it.
yeah.
So, oh well. Oh hey, any of you?
All right.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting ready to leave so I can go watch the World Cup.
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted before you leave, I posted a bunch of YouTube and Facebook links in chat. I started watching something last night. I know I watched it for 2 or 3 hours, and it is it's a it's videos of a guy named Jeff Gray who's made it his mission in life to challenge authority with regard to constitutional rights and police enforcement. My wife thinks he's a nut. He probably is a nut. I certainly don't advocate everything he's doing, but I have to respect someone from trying to figure out where the problem is, and that's what he's done. He challenges people. I don't like some of his approach, but he challenges authority that people, for example, if he's standing in a public place taking pictures and the cops tell him you can't do it, he said, "Of course I can." He will challenge them to do that, and ultimately he gets in trouble, and a lot of times they'll turn around and walk off. I'm not advocating that you adopt his techniques, but I do think it's important for you to learn what your rights are, because if you don't know what your rights are, you can't defend them, and if you don't defend them, you lose them.
Yep. Good point. Even if you don't agree with all
Well,
that.
isn't that kind of what the whole body cam thing is all about? Why would it be wrong for you to record it when the body cam is supposed to?
All right, why is it if you lie to a cop, why is it a crime and they can lie to you looking you square in the face?
Right.
Answer that one.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
Look,
all right.
Anybody watch Endeavor, it's called?
no.
It's a cop show. It's the Inspector Morse when he was a constable. It's a new BBC. It's been out since like 2015, but it's a constable a British police drama, and did the whole thing about guy come walking in with a paper bag about, yeah, when we found the bloody shirt in your apartment, and of course the guy freaked out and confessed, and they go, well, and the guy takes the bag when they're done and dumps it out, and it's just a towel from his bathroom. There was no bloody shirt in the bag, but oh well.
No.
I hope you guys will take some time and watch these things because you really do need to be informed. I'm excuse me, I talk about we talk about politics a lot here, and I've come to some conclusions recently that are not good. They're not really optimistic. And that our generation, that all this doesn't apply to you. Our generation created these problems. It's kind of silly to think we're going to fix them. Our kids are going to inherit this nonsense that has been created. I don't know what we can do to help them. So instead of me trying to fix the problem now, I'm trying to figure out what we can do to leave it better for them. And I don't know what that
Mm.
is yet, but I'm working on it. Alan says, I left a city whose cops were bad. And this is the comment I was going to make a while ago. Not every cop is bad. I mean, some of these guys work for nothing and give their lives and really sacrifice. But I will tell you something, there's some bad eggs out there. And those guys need to be, they really need to have their feet held to the fire. They are not God. They don't get to make law as they go. They don't, the fact that they're not educated or informed on the law does not give them an excuse to abuse it. If they want to learn it,
Mm.
all for paying more money in taxes to help them go to school to learn the law. I'm all in favor of that. But I'm not in favor of them taking a lazy shortcut and abusing the law under no circumstances.
Nope. Nope.
Well, I got to say goodbye, guys. I got somebody coming over. I'm
All
helping,
right.
helping
Well,
them with something. So.
anything you want to add, Mike? Gal?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. So
Yes.
thanks, Spence. Thanks, Gal. Mike. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, sorry. But you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Boy, it's still hard to get over all these years when we were 8. Tonight at 7, Nick Craig hosts Against the Norm. And at 9, Mike Phillips hosts the Crypto Culture Show. Both these are on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7 FM. And you can listen to it on TuneIn. And if you don't know how to get to it, it's in the nav bar on the left on the links. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.